Okay, so should I do the blue or should I do the red? Should I do the red or should I do the blue? Tough choice. Really tough choice. You know what? Honestly, this should not be a tough choice. There should only be one color anyway for this type of thing, and that's purple. It should always be purple. That's how it should happen. Stay tuned. There might be a third option on what to do with these mail-in votes besides just toss them. Anyway, everybody likes getting mail. Unless it's spam. I mean, come on. Who doesn't like spam? We'll talk about that in another video. Today, here to talk about mail-in voting. The pros, the cons. Are there any pros? Well, I've heard there's a lot of cons. But then again, we are voting for people who seem to constantly con us into voting for them. Yet we keep voting for them. How does that work? I'm a little confused on that. Are we getting cut? So, mail-in voting goes all the way back to the Civil War. And back then, it was a big controversy about that. You know, going to the polls is one of the biggest things there is. In fact, it's on a Tuesday so that everybody had the chance to get there, because it used to take forever and a day to get to your voting spot. Now it seems like it takes forever to stand in line to vote in some areas. But voting by mail, that's not something we normally do all the time. But this year is not a normal year. So I wound up getting 2 applications. So you gotta get the application first before you can get the actual ballot in the mail. And I could just, fill them both out and send them in. And that would be voter's fraud. However, I know where the other person is, and the other person does want it. So, will there be voter fraud? Well, that's really challenging to say. The Secretary of State sends these applications out, at least in Michigan anyway. Other states might be a little different, but in Michigan, the Secretary of State is the list that they use to send it out in. And if your address is not updated on your driver's license or state ID, well, they're just going to send it to the last known address. So let's go over this. Since I haven't opened it up yet, let's see what it says. Okay, get a nice return envelope. Okay, so you get, looks like 3 easy steps. So, top says, check elections which you are requesting ballots. Both 2020 election, election 8/4/2020, election 11/3/2020. Now, I'm going to go ahead and check both. There's another little box that says future elections. And I can check this if I want to vote absentee in all future elections. and it'll send me applications for every election. Now here, the first step is I certify that I'm a United States citizen and qualified and registered elector of the Michigan city or township listed above, and I apply for an official ballot to be voted by me in my elections checked above, and the statements in this application are true. Now here, when I sign this, they will check the ballot and see if it's identical signatures, which is helpful. It's a nice security check. In fact, I talked to a clerk who does the voters, who helps count votes and stuff, and she said if I do vote by mail, both a Republican and Democrat will open the envelope when they get it with my vote. Not exactly sure how that works. I'm not sure if, one side opens one side and the other opens the other, or if, one person opens part of it, hands it to the other, but I don't really know exactly how that works. That's what I'm told. Okay, step 2. Want your ballot mailed to a different address than printed above. USPS won't forward it. Now this is interesting. This is probably why, mail-in applications got sent to me, because USPS couldn't forward it. So that's kind of interesting. So there's a spot here I can change my address. And then I can add an email on her phone. And that's optional. A spot for clerks only. And then, oh, well, this is nice. There's a little letter with it, I guess. Should have probably been on front. But, hey. So, it says, Dear registered voter, you have the right to vote by mail in every election. Voting by mail is easy, convenient, and secure during the outbreak of COVID. It also enables you to stay home and stay safe while making your voice heard. There are 2 upcoming elections in Michigan this year. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. It's not overly long. But it is actually a really nice little letter. So that's kind of interesting. Now, with the absentee voter ballot applications, once you've filled the front out, you need to turn it over, and there's a couple additional steps. Step 1, fill out the application completely. You must sign the form to get a ballot. Now this is pretty important because this signature has to match the ballot you're sending in. That's how they, check to see if it's a legal ballot or not. Then step 2, deliver the application by one of the following methods. You can mail it in using this nice envelope they send you along with it. Remember to put a return address and the address to where it's going and a stamp. But wait, how do you know where it's going? I'm sure you're like, hey, where is my local clerk's office? Well, on this one, they tell you right at the bottom, complete and return to, and it gives you either an email address or a street address with the city, state, zip, all that. And that's where you would find the address if you plan on mailing it. Now, 2, you can photocopy or take a picture and email it to that email address. 3, you can also deliver it in person, which is what I plan on doing. And there's some special instructions on who can and who can't deliver it. For instance, must be someone in your immediate family or living in your household that can help you deliver this application. If that's not possible, you can ask any Michigan registered voter to deliver it for you. The person helping you must sign the certificate of authorized registered elector assisting in returning the application. And it's got a little spot for their name, address, date of birth, and who they're delivering the ballot, who they're delivering the application for, not necessarily the ballot. And then they've got a date and sign it. And they've got a little warning in here of what could happen. And then there's some special instructions if you're moving between August and November. And that's because if you go to a different state, they may have you wait a certain amount of time before you're registered in that state. And that's one thing you have to think about. Once you mail it out or drop it off, then what, right? Well, before the election, you'll get an official ballot. And these ballots are not printed on just common paper. They're printed on a certain weighted paper for the machines. So what am I going to do? Am I going to vote by mail? Or am I going to go to the polls? Well, actually, I did talk to the clerk, and she brought up a very good point, and I'm going to take her suggestion and do option 3. I'm going to fill this out, send it in, ballot sent to me. I'm going to do my homework, fill it all out just as if I was going to vote, and then I'm going to go stand in line and see what happens. So that's what I'm going to do. And like I said, I talked to the voter clerk. She didn't just explain to me how this works, but she also explained to me that you actually do have that option. And that's actually a more convenient option in the long run, because you get the ballot, you get the time to make your choices. Now, will it be safety and security at the polls? Well, she's assured me yes. People will be in masks, they'll be behind plexiglass, there'll be somebody sterilizing the machines, there'll be hand sanitizer, all those things that we're slowly becoming accustomed to. So if you want to go to the polls, go. They'll be as safe as can be. If you want to stay home, or if you can't go to the polls, do the mail-in ballot. But what about fraud? That's a problem. Now, there's always a chance there's going to be fraud. I can't say for sure how much fraud there's going to be in this election. I can't say that there will be any or there will be none. Until it happens, we won't know. Things the federal government could do to make mail-in ballots easier on everyone, and that's by supplying the proper resources for the United States Post Office, giving them a little more funding so they could put some more people to work. They could open up bigger department areas, special department areas, just to handle the added stress and strain on the post office. They could add in a few different machines to help sort more efficiently. And they could even go one step further in helping with special marked envelopes for the ballots, so that the post office knew this needs to come before everything else. Doesn't seem like they're going to do that. Yeah, so I would recommend, if you do plan on doing this, use the mail-in ballot like a guide. If you are able to go and vote, then vote. If not, then mail it in. But definitely vote this year. A lot of people have protected our privilege and our right to vote. So I thank them for doing that, because they are the ones that have protected our freedom and our democracy for over 200 years now. How are you gonna vote this year? Leave a comment down below. And remember, knowledge earned yourself is the keys to success. True story.